Welcome to this quick look at open bidding on reserve, your beginner's guide to pre-selecting open pairings on reserve. My name is Jesse Matthews. I am the Local 4094 Reserve Committee Chairperson. As always, just a quick little disclaimer here that this is educational in nature only. And if there's any discrepancy between the information presented here and our collective agreement, the collective agreement takes precedence. And if there's any questions about how to interpret various parts of the collective agreement, you can reach out to your local union officers or ultimately the component president for final interpretation. So let's go through a nice little overview here just regarding open bidding. So open bidding is basically one of the ways you can control your schedule to some degree on reserve. For various reasons, pairings become available in what's known as open time. This might be because people are sick, for example, so they're unable to do pairings that they have in their block. There might be custom pairings created as a result of an irregular operation. There's a number of reasons why pairings might become open. But all that to say, these show up in open time, and it is possible to open bid for them. And there's two scenarios in which you open bid. One is for makeup when you hold a block. We won't get into all the details for that here, since that pertains to block holders and not to reserve. But this also pertains to what's known as reserve pre-select, and that's what we're covering today. So if you want to open bid for any available pairings that you're legal for, this has to be done prior to 10 a.m. at least one calendar day prior to any pairings that you desire to open bid for. So today, for example, is November the 3rd. So I would not be able to open bid now that it's past 10 a.m. for any pairings that are for tomorrow. That's November the 4th. In this case, I already have a pairing on November the 4th that I open bid for. But if I didn't have one and I wanted one for the 4th, I would not be able to open bid for it now that it's past 10 a.m. So there's several rules pertaining to open bids. The first is that you can open bid for any available pairings on the first day of a reserved duty day pattern. So if we look at my schedule, on November the 6th, this is my first day on call-in. And I have it on the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. I'm not able to open bid on the 7th or the 8th or the 9th because that's more than one day into my pattern. So I can bid for anything on the 6th that happens to fall into these 4 days. So if there's a pairing for a single day on the 6th, that's fine. If it goes the 6th, the 7th, that's fine. 6, 7, 8, that's fine. 6, 7, 8, 9, that's fine. All those are possible. It just has to start on the 6th in order for me to be legal to open bid for it. The next rule is that you can open bid on any of your RDOs just so long as your crew rest after the pairing is completed before you commence your next reserve duty day pattern. So for example, I could open bid on the 10th or the 11th of November, so long as my pairing gets back and my crew rest is completed before my next reserve duty day pattern commences, which happens to be on the 12th. So effectively on the 11th, that means I'd probably only be able to bid for a turn that comes back and completes checkout just before noon. Or on the 10th, I could probably open bid for any pairing that is either the same day, so just on the 10th, or it could be maybe a short layover in another city where I get back sometime in the morning on the 11th. And those would both be legal because my crew rest and my pairing before it are all completed before I'm back on my reserve days starting on the 12th. It is not possible to open bid on your GDOs or on your vacation days. So in this case, in this month, I have two GDOs. Those are the 18th and the 19th, so I can't open bid on those days. And then I have vacation in November as well, which stretches for this entire week, so the 21st of November to the 27th of November, so I'm not eligible to open bid on any of those days either. It's also not possible to open bid on your RDOs in the last 7 days of the block month, so these RDOs I am not eligible for either. So with that in mind, we'll just go on to the next screen where I'm going to walk you through the basic navigation of Globe, including how to actually submit open bids for pairings and then how to check on results of those open bids in terms of whether it was awarded or if it wasn't, some of the reasoning as to why it was not. We are logged in already into Globe, into the open bids section. So, just in case you're not sure how to get here, when you log into Globe, there are all these menus across the top. You would just go under Home and then Bid Open Pairings. So we'll just refresh it. You can see the please wait, loading please wait, and eventually it comes back. So you can see the very basic rules are listed inside of this box over here. Let's walk through some of the navigation as far as what is here. As it is mentioned on the right, there are a number of open pairings that show for any given day in the block month in general, and then the number of pairings that you are legal for. So for example, for tomorrow, there are 7 open pairings, and I'm legal for none of them. If you hover over the pink option displaying that, it'll show you all the pairing numbers and then what positions are open. You can also left click on it, and that opens up a menu on the left explaining exactly what's in the pairing and then what's needed. So there is the pairing number, the date, and then this indicates that one flight attendant is needed, and out of that one flight attendant, they need to speak Punjabi. So I'm showing as illegal for this pairing because I don't meet the language requirements, and check-in time is before my legal time. Legal time after, even if I did have the language qualification, I would be illegal because I have a stretch of reserve duty days afterwards. So you can see each of them provides reasoning as to why it's illegal. For this one, Vancouver, Toronto, Toronto, Vancouver, it is one flight attendant position open, so all other things considered, I would be legal for it, except I already have an assignment for this day, so my check-in time for this particular pairing, which would be 7:40, is before my time that I'm legal, and that's because I already have a pairing. You can see much the same things. There is one galley position open. This still just shows GP for galley position in general, but whenever you see that, that's pretty much always going to be for J class as far as what's open. So this galley person also needs to be bilingual for this pairing. So in this case, if you are not BL, another illegal reason showing up would be that you are not language qualified, sort of like the Punjabi example that we saw earlier. There's a close button that's just off screen at the bottom. I'll just use the X on the top right corner. In order to submit any sort of bid, you can go to a day where you're showing an open pairing, for example. Let's look at the 6th here. So there are 2 pairings that I am legal for on Saturday the 6th. Left clicking on that, you can see one flight attendant in both cases, and there's this red box here that's titled Add to Bid List. So let's add both of these. I'm going to left click on each one. You'll notice that after clicking on the first one on the right hand side here, there is a reminder to not forget to submit your bid, and you can do that by going into active bid, which we'll do in just a moment. Let's add this pairing as well. So now I've put in 2. I'm going to hit close. This has not submitted my open bid yet. This is just me adding options to the list of items I would like to bid. To do that, I'll need to left click on active bid, and here we have a new window where it's showing the sequence as far as the order of preference that I have in terms of open bidding. So pairing number 8144 has been put in first. This is the one with a credit of 905. That was a turn to Mexico and back, so a bit more flight credit. And then this pairing number was a turn to Santa Ana and back. So that's currently in sequence as a second preference. If I wanted to change this, I could just go into the drop-down menu under sequence and then put it as 1, and you'll notice it just shot up to the top. I can put it right back to number 2 if my preference is that. So for the pairings that have galley positions open, you will need to change the radio button from FA only, which is the default, to FA/GP. If you do not do this, you will not be awarded a pairing where only a galley position is open, even if you are legal for it and even if you are more senior for it. This is a fairly common mistake that a number of people make on reserve when open bidding, is forgetting to move over the radio button to the FA/GP option. And in this case, unfortunately, there's nothing that can be done if that's the mistake that's been made. So as a force of habit for those of us who don't mind working GP as well, every time you do an active bid submission, make sure it's not just sitting here on FA only, move it over to FA/GP. You can hit submit to put in your bid. If you're not done yet and want to add more pairings, you can hit close. If you don't like your bid at all and want to delete all of it, you can hit delete bid. So that'll clear everything out. If you want to delete individual items, you can use the red buttons on the side. So let's just say I wanted to delete the turn to Mexico and back. I can left click that, and now there's just the Santa Ana turn left that I have on my list. If I hit submit, it'll say please wait. And now you'll notice I no longer have that warning message asking me to submit my active bid. That means it has been submitted. So I can just go ahead and hit close. If I left click back on active bid, you'll see submitted 03 November 21 and that same pairing. Hit close. Let's say I change my mind. I want to add that turn to Los Cabos. It's back on my add to bid list options, whereas the turn to Santa Ana, that button isn't there because I've already submitted a bid for it. So if I left click add to bid list, you'll see again that the red message shows up asking me to submit my bid, otherwise it won't go in. So if I go here, this shows what I just added, so the Los Cabos turn as sequence number 2, just because I added it most recently. And as long as I hit submit bid again, it'll go ahead and do that. You can see that this updated to 1 minute later because I've just resubmitted 1 minute later. Just to give you an example, this pairing that I have for November the 4th, I was awarded as a pre-select. That can be seen under this green awards option showing everything I bid for on the 2nd. So if I left click on that, this will show the results of my historical bid. So I bid for 3 open pairings. I bid for an overseas pairing to Delhi. The comment left by crew scheduling was no open positions exist for this bid. That means that either a senior flight attendant to me was awarded this pairing or the pairing was changed in some way so it's no longer available. Same thing happened with this pairing as well. And then finally, pairing number 8012 was awarded to me, worth 6 hours and 30 minutes in credit. I also submitted an open bid for today, but since it's just after 10 a.m., it has not yet been awarded, and that can be seen here, today being November the 3rd. If I left click on it, there's no comment left yet as far as what crew scheduling has said about this pairing. It'll show the pairing number that I submitted, the date of the pairing that I was open bidding for, and how much credit it's worth if I happen to be awarded it. This area under comment will eventually be updated once crew scheduling processes all the open bids. If you don't see any comment yet, then that means that they have not yet processed the open bid. Just a couple of other items of note. I have vacation in this month. I'm not legal for any of the pairings that are in my vacation week because of the fact that I am on vacation. If I left click, you'll see check-in time for the pairing overlaps the activity of vacation, and that's because we can't work on actual vacation. And the same thing would be showing for any of these other days as well. One other important item to note, we are not able to open bid on our RDOs in the last 7 days of the month. So if I go into here, you'll see that this is a position for one flight attendant and one service director. Of those two positions, one of them has to be bilingual. I have my bilingual qualification, so the only reason I'm not legal for this pairing is because it transpires in the last 7 days of the block month. This is a restriction that's applied specifically to reserves.